Welcome back to part 3 of the For Real Movie Club, where we'll be discussing Cool World, which is a 1992 American live-action animated fantasy film directed by Ralph Bakshi. And is starring Kim Basinger, Gabriel Byrne, and Brad Pitt. Yeah, I said Brad Pitt. Yeah. It tells the story of a cartoonist who finds himself in the animated world he thinks he created and is seduced by one of his characters, a comic strip vamp's a word, who wants to be real. Cool World marked Bakshi's return to feature films after 9 years. The film was originally pitched as an animated horror film about an underground cartoonist whose father, an illegitimate half-human, half-cartoon daughter, who hates herself for what she is and tries to kill him. Chris, we'll start with you. What was your initial thoughts on Cool World?
I saw this movie because Cool World to me has a really heavy nostalgia goggles for it being like one of the first adult movies I've ever seen. Because my parents thought this was supposed to be like a kids movie, and it was billed as a kids movie, so it was like PG-13. But just it's not. The whole story is insane of like the characters and like the actual true purpose of like the worlds merging, because people thought this would be like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but like, you know, the next level of it, the same concept, but it's totally not. It's like a worse idea of that. And like this is the precursor to like Space Jam, where we integrated like humans and cartoons, but it's like all done terribly.
Caroline, what was your initial thoughts of Cool World?
Well, first off, I just want to say that for some reason, this movie was so popular in Brazil when I was growing up. I remember that it would play on, like, open TV channel, like, right after lunch, like, when all the kids were getting home. So I remember watching it when I was really young, and I was just, like, confused. I don't dislike it. I mean, I love Gabriel Byrne a lot, and there's some dirtiness, about Cool World, the actual place in the movie Cool World, that I liked a lot. It's all right.
Sam,
it's not amazing.
What were your initial thoughts on the initial thoughts these two just had?
Yeah, for you guys listening, I didn't see this movie. It's one of the ones I did not catch on the list. But just as someone who hasn't watched it, so just like you guys, if you haven't watched it and you're listening to the podcast, I don't know about this movie. It came out after Who Framed Roger Rabbit, so I feel like it's just discount Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'd rather just watch that movie.
Oh, yeah, you're better off.
Yeah. Like, I like the idea that it was pitched as a horror movie, but it's not a horror movie, so is it basically just, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, basically? Like, it's just real world, cartoon world mixed, and it mixes further.
Dace, you want me to take us on explaining like how insane the plot is?
Actually, I have not seen this movie either, so I'll let you explain how crazy this plot is. I vaguely remember the cartoon part of it. Like, I think I browsed past it on the TV, but go for it.
Okay, so the idea of Cool World is like another universe that like exists and just like parallel to the human world. Mm-hmm. And someone in the cartoon world opened up a portal to like visit the human world and like grab Brad Pitt from 1945 and puts him in charge of the cartoon world while this like professor guy goes to the human world to just explore. Like,
what was he, a cartoon in the real world, or did he become real?
No, he becomes a cartoon, walk around the real world, but he grabs Brad Pitt, who's a human, into the cartoon world. Like, they switch places. So, like, Brad Pitt's a human in the cartoon world. And then, like, 50 years later, like, this guy gets out of jail. That's Gabriel Byrne's role. He's a cartoonist who, like, for the past few years, like, has been drawing these, like, cartoons and sketches, and he, like, has been taking, like, what he thinks is his world, his creation is like Hollywood, this character in like her world, but in truth, it's actually like Holly has been like visiting him in his dreams and like influencing his cartoons over these years. So he believes he created Cool World, but in actuality, like Cool World already exists before him.
What was her purpose in doing that?
she wanted to cross over into the human world.
Yeah,
but, like,
she wanted to become real.
She like wanted to bend reality and become a humanoid. But in order for her to become a humanoid, now here's the part where like kids won't get this. And this is where like everyone kind of like smacks them on the everyone goes like, "Holy God, this is the point." The point of the movie was to like Holly bangs like has to have sex with a human to become human. Like she's a cartoon and they're forbidden to like actually have sex with human people. So it's like when you do, you become human. Like no, they don't explain why. That's just that happens. So not to spoil much, but she ends up banging like the cartoonist, and she actually does become human and travels to the human world. But then it starts merging the two worlds together, and it's like you guys saw Super Mario Brothers, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah. How like the worlds were merging. That basically happens, but instead of like a meteor, it's because someone had sex.
So instead of just wanting the D, she wanted the 2D. That's my contribution to this section.
No, that was good. But like, it's already an insane plot. They just added in like the sexual tension because it's like, yeah, it's edgy, but it makes no sense. And then you have all this talent that honestly like should not have jobs after in this movie. You know, like this movie was a colossal failure. This movie made like no money. It made barely half its money back, but that's over years of like it being in the foreign market or like it being advertised as a joke.
We still talking about Cool World, or are we talking about Fantastic Four?
Well, this movie caused a lot of controversy. I think Dace will talk about, right?
Yes, sir.
Did they actually show the sex scene, or was it just implied?
It's kind. I mean,
they kind of show it, but it's not like graphic.
She's like, it's very sensual, you know, and it's and she's a very think like Jessica Rabbit, but blonde and a little bit more realistic looking, like her face.
She's like a Tex Avery cartoon, like a very sexy, everything's sexy. Like super sexy Tex Avery cartoon, which is like again that was okay back then, like to show like very exaggerated figures that honestly would give like a lot of it was like, you know, the man's idea of like what sexy like women are in cartoons. And it plays well to like the story because it has a purpose because she's drawn like that to like actually seduce a human.
Mm-hmm.
So like that I get, but the rest of it is like insane. Like the rest of the whole story, her whole gang, the world, it's like they don't explain it because it's impossible to explain to make any sense.
I don't think Sam would be into it. I think that he would rather be with Lola Bunny.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, like if you grew up Lola Bunny, like you're not gonna get used to this. Like you just like that.
Once you have Jessica Rabbit, you don't go for Holly.
Yeah.
Some interesting notes about the cast itself for this movie. Kim Basinger played Hollywood. Brad Pitt is Detective Frank Harris. Gabriel Byrne is Jack Deebs. Frank Sinatra Jr. is in it as well.
Now I have to see it.
Right? And there's a couple of characters that I thought was pretty funny, like Craps Bunny. I'm just reading through some of the cartoon character names they had here. When it comes to the casting, what do you think of Brad Pitt being in this movie? We'll start with you, Caroline.
He's a weird character. I mean, I don't know. I don't really like him in it. And then that's my dog snoring, if you guys caught that. I mean, he's alright. I don't know. I felt like somebody else would play better. I guess because he's like the detective in it, it's hard not to compare with Who Framed Roger Rabbit and that idea of being a detective. And he's just kind of like the police, like the cop in it, and he's like reinforcing the rules that no cartoons should have sex with humans. And that's kind of like pretty much what he does. And he tries to maintain the world the way it is, but the only threat really is Holly, and she's trying to have sex with this guy. So he's just like constantly being, you know.
So wait, is the cartoon world and the human world, like, are their times in sync?
No. You're like in this alternate realm. They're just like time stops for you.
Because you said it was like 50 years.
Yeah.
So
and
what
this is the other thing too. Like there's one point in the movie where Brad Pitt goes back to the real world. He's still the way he is. Like he doesn't age or anything.
Well, I mean, he didn't age, but like, was it like okay? He didn't age or anything, but was he in the cartoon world for 50 years?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or was he there for like? He thinks it was like a week, and it turns out to be like.
No, I think he was there for a while. Yeah.
It's like it's a cartoon, so it's supposed to be like time is suspended, like time is that moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so then how did the girl Holly not just bang him?
She's been trying.
Like her, and he has like a girlfriend who's also a cartoon, but he can bang. But he doesn't really like Holly. Like she tries to come for him in various times, and he pretty much just shoves her aside. Like he really doesn't like her.
Well, good for him. At least he has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole sexual tension thing between them is like, I guess for 50 years they've been trying it, and then that's why they don't like each other. Because, like I said, 50 years, Holly's been trying to bang Brad Pitt.
What girl hasn't been trying to bang Brad Pitt?
Yeah, I'll pass.
I heard he doesn't use deodorant, so...
Ugh.
Yeah, I keep hearing that he doesn't smell good, and that to me is like, ugh. No.
That's why Angelina Jolie adopts.
Well, you have to also remember, this is like 92. Brad Pitt is like up and coming at this point.
Yeah, he's...
obviously, because he did this movie.
Yeah, like, this really could have killed his career, like, out the door.
If this was today, it probably would have killed his career.
Yeah.
So, Chris, you mentioned earlier in the podcast, or in this portion of the podcast, the controversy. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that and tell what the...
So, when they were promoting this movie, they were trying to do, like, a whole bunch of, like, marketing stunts to kind of get attention. That it's like, yeah, it's good. It's an adult-themed kids movie. Which, again, like, everyone who was marketing this movie was coming from different perspectives. Where, if you see in the notes in the Wikipedia, like, Kim Basinger was trying to make like a family-friendly movie so she could show this movie to kids in hospitals. That's actually a quote.
Oh, no.
She quoted that. She was like, "Yeah, I want this to be one day like to show in like the kids." And it's like, holy shit, really? Okay, Ralph Bakshi, he was like, "No, I make dirty movies. Like this is my thing. It's alternate like adult humor." So he was all about like it being graphic. Then like. Someone in Paramount was like, yeah, we got this young kid named, like, Brad Pitt. Let's put him in. What's he gonna do? I don't know. Let's make Roger Rabbit, basically. And then, like, got unlicensed like, art. Because all, like, the character art in the background is all, like, weird, kind of, like, Tex Avery background, like, 50s cartoons and stuff like that. So they were just making, like, halfway through, they basically knew they weren't making any money. So why spend real money to get, like, licensed material? Let's just get, like, garbage. So, like, everything that, like, surrounding the development was terrible. Then, when the movie was, like, halfway done, they decided, let's put, like, a real-life scale of Hollywood on the Hollywood sign. And it's, like, they didn't really ask a lot of people. They just did it. So they built a giant, like, I don't know, like, 20-foot blonde in a Marilyn Monroe, like, skirt and placed it by the H on the Hollywood sign.
Oh, my God.
And, like, all the people in the valley, like, looked up and went, uh-oh, like, that ain't right. So a bunch of people were, like, stirring up controversy. Because, again, Hollywood, if you see a picture of her, is, like, a very sexualized character. It's Jessica Rabbit, basically, but, like, proportionate. So, like, you can't, like, how do you put that up? Like, you can't do that today. Like, you can't get permits to do ever that again. But, because, like, again, it just, you place this, like, figure on a Hollywood sign, an iconic thing, with this, like, slutty character. And so, like, everyone in Hollywood who was not with this movie totally complained.
Wow. That's so crazy.
Yeah, like, I forgot that happened. It's just like, oh yeah, they placed it there. But it was like such a rush job. Like, I guess they built it somewhere else and, like, craned it up there really fast. Oh, and then they just, like, placed it there. Like, what the hell? And it was just staring down in Hollywood. This like slutty figure, and it's like it didn't have a title. It didn't say Cool World. It just had Holly, like just a character no one knew of yet.
Interesting.
Smooth. Caroline, we'll start with you. What are your final thoughts, high point, low point, and a ranking 1 to 10?
Okay. Well, I would say high point is that I still feel that in the right hands and with the right money and the right everything, the concept would be interesting. You know, the idea of having this cartoon world that it's not friendly, that it's not nice, that it's just like dirty and gross and has all this like kind of like disgusting looking characters. That could work if it was done right. Low points, I would say everything else. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there is a lot of potential there that it wasn't tapped in. Still don't know why this movie was so popular in Brazil. I guess because Holly was hot. And I guess if I had to grade it, I would say maybe like a 4 or a 3, something like that.
Chris, what were your final thoughts, high point, low point, and ranking 1 to 10?
My final thoughts of this movie was like, again, not every movie with live action characters like and cartoons can work, and this is like a early milestone in that where it's like, yeah, like we'll have adult themes but kiddie kind of like concepts, like that doesn't work. Especially this, it's like you go all the way. The high points for me is like, I guess when like basically Holly is Kim Basinger, like, and she's singing with Frank Sinatra Jr. at this club, and to her, like, it's normal just to get up and sing in a ballroom. But like, you know, in reality, people are like, no, like this should be crazy. But in that one time scenario, like people are fine with it, which it's funny because it's like a cartoon come to life, right? Then the low points for me is like when Brad Pitt and his girlfriend are arguing about sex, because like she keeps bringing up how sexually frustrated he's been for over like 50 years since he's been here. And it's like, he's been for 50 years, let's say, right? And it's like he couldn't have sex for 50 years, but he has a girlfriend who is like sexually frustrated. She is just like, you don't kiss me. She wants to bang. Yeah, she wants this whole thing, but it's like, what are the rules for sex in this thing? Like penetration? Right. Is it like a hand job? They don't dare to explain it because again, they want to keep it a PG-13, 92 PG-13, and it's like, you know, like you can't talk about that concept and not be graphic and funny about it. And it tries to be like very like, oh, that's why I'm so moody because I can't have sex. But it's like you're gonna explain. I'm not gonna learn my sex education through like this movie when I'm like 4. Like this is crazy.
I wonder if anal counts.
Yeah, like that would make sense now. Like you ask that question now when you watch the movie, but back then if you're watching this as a kid, you would have no idea. But you watch it as a parent, I'm like, Jesus, like what did I bring my kid to?
Yeah, exactly. I'm still kind of odd that it was PG-13 movie. Like it doesn't really feel like it.
Oh, it shouldn't. But that's the thing. If it became an R, this movie would have been like 10 times better.
Right. Yeah.
Or if it became worse. Or yeah, it could have been so worse. Like imagine all this plus like really graphic cartoon sex on humans. Like I don't want to see that either.
Oh, I wouldn't see that. That'd be cool. Am I alone? Sam, am I alone in this?
Okay, maybe Holly and like the girlfriend character. Everything else is a freak show of art. So I can imagine those things being naked. It's not great.
Well, there you have it, folks. Cool World is in the books. So make sure you jump over to part 4 of the 4 Reel Movie Club as we talk about the comedic classic Office Space.
Woo!